What up, party people? This is Chef, New Zealand Murder History Podcast. And I got a show for you guys today about Paremoremo Prison. Now, I just want to clear one thing up at the start because I didn't know this until I wrote this show. Auckland Prison in Paremoremo is what it's really called. Now, it's part of the Auckland Prison system. It's called Auckland Prison, and it's on Paremoremo Road. Because often in the news they'll say, oh, the stabbing took place in Paremoremo, or this guy, he's notorious, they sent him to Paremoremo, but it's actually Auckland Prison, and it's on Paremoremo Road, and it's just one of, I don't know how many prisons they got in Auckland, but they've got a few. They've got Mount Eden, they've got other ones too. So what is Paremoremo Prison? Basically, I'm going to attempt to answer this question. Yeah, it's a max security prison in Auckland. It actually has minimum to maximum security, but it has the most maximum security that we have in New Zealand in Auckland Prison in Paremoremo. So we might have other prisons that also have like high security units and stuff like that, etc. But yeah, Paremoremo, Auckland. Anyway, now that we've got that cleared up, in fact, let's lift that camera up a little. Put this like this, and there we go. Yeah, that'll do it. This episode of New Zealand Murder History Podcast will discuss murder, stabbings, prison violence, and drug use. It's totally not suitable for children. Kids, click off, please. Also, anyone suffering from PTSD, also click off. And if you do need support, first of all, contact your GP, your doctor, or you could call one of the many 0800 numbers available. Samaritans, etc., Youthline. It's all a quick Google search. My show is just for educational purposes and to make people think. I'm from New Zealand and I'm patriotic about it and all that, but I got to tell you, I often don't love the decisions made by New Zealand courts. I very rarely have respect for New Zealand social workers. To be honest, I find them really ineffectual. And another thing that's not great is basically our values as a society are corrupt. We value PC rubbish over common sense, and people who are good at talking shit. That's who we value, like defense lawyers and politicians, etc. We value that over people who take positive action. This episode of New Zealand Murder History Podcast is dedicated to one hard-working bloke. We love you, Desmond Farfoy. It's blokes like you that make the world go around. I wish you well, and I wish you good health for you and your family, and your prison guard family. God bless you, Farfoy. With love, from New Zealand Murder History Podcast. Keep up the good work. And if any of them young bucks try to push you around, you show them what's up. Yeah, Auckland Prison in Paremoremo. It's in Albany District and is a really bad prison. It's the New Zealand version of Alcatraz or something. It's extremely messed up. Check out the high-profile prisoners that are housed or used to be housed in this place. Graham Burton. I'll talk a bit more about him in a mo. Josh Masters, the president of the Killer G's, he was there. They got bosses of American Street Gang Red and bosses of American Street Gang Blue, and one of their notorious enforcers, JFK. That's not just effing kidding, this bloke's just effing crazy. Although most are from Auckland, people get sent from as far south as Southland. This is the place that Hoary Gemmell got sent to when his prisoner status got bumped up. The next part I'm quoting from newzealandherald.co.nz, 21st of December 2008. Burton attacks prisoner. He said Burton attacked the prisoner, believed to be 88 gang member Dwayne Marsh, on a landing shared by 12 others, Hanlon said. One officer ran in unarmed to tackle Burton with no protective clothing. he probably saved Marsh's life. Burton just went for it and attacked the guy. He stabbed him in the arms, legs, and chest. The guard went in while Burton was stabbing the guy and stopped him. He went in. He was in the process of killing someone in just his cotton shirt. Initially, they thought it was just another stabbing, but when the guy collapsed, they knew it was serious. Marsh was rushed to Auckland Hospital Emergency Department by ambulance and was in intensive care last night. Just another stabbing. Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not doing a 10-year stretch in that joint, man. Place is a war zone. Okay, let's do a little geography. Paremoremo Prison is in Auckland. Auckland is the biggest city in New Zealand, for those of my viewers who aren't from here. It's almost at the top of the North Island, but not quite. It's just most of the way up. Auckland City. Yeah, if you've ever seen the Kiwi soap Shortland Street, that's set in Auckland. Yeah, a lot of the cases I cover are from Wellington, that's capital city, and that's at the very bottom of the North Island. Anyway, back to it. Back to the men, damned to spend whatever time they have to at Paremoremo. Guards are always getting attacked. At 4:30 in the afternoon on the 23rd of December 2018, 4 prison guards were attacked by 4 prisoners. None were seriously injured. Now I'm reading one that does my head in. 20th of May 2018. Check this out for New Zealand PC rubbish. 2 prison guards got charged with assault. But according to the article I'm reading, the prisoners started it. I mean, the guards just finished it. 3 blokes jumped one guard and stabbed him in the head with a prison shank. Now, this guy's a big guy. I'm guessing what happened is they tried to jump him, but he was able to sort of fend them off, and I'm sure they cut his head a bit, but I don't think they were able to really get a proper hit on him, you know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to know, but that's just what I'm speculating. Because, they cut his head up, for sure, but they didn't quite get to stab him because he fought them off. Yeah. I'm talking about Desmond Farfoy. Yeah, but anyway, the point is that they did cut his head up a bit, and then these other guards jumped in and they managed to cuff the 3 prisoners. Anyway, it was Samuel Hutchins, Trent Wellington, and Matai Angel. Yeah, so it was Angel with the prison shiv, with the shank. And the prison guard anyway, basically, Farfoy and his prison guard colleagues, they were charged with assault for bashing Angel. Now, allegedly, they handcuffed him and gave him a bit of a hiding, but that was then found to be untrue. So, another prisoner was actually also charged with perverting the course of justice for turning the camera around in the opposite direction. But, yeah, I mean, long story short, there was a scuffle. These guys got cuffed. In the process, they probably broke Angel's right ankle and may have booted him in the head a couple of times, allegedly. But, I don't really see what Farfoy and the other guards were supposed to do. I mean, these prisoners pulled a shank. I mean, some sources say 2 shanks. If the guards don't respond with violence, they're toast. I mean, this bloke, Desmond Farfoy, he's not kindergarten cop, he's a prison guard. And Angel stabbed him in the head. Or at least tried to, and cut his head up. I mean, do we really expect this guy just to get stabbed and not worry about it? Anyway, the guards got found not guilty in the end, but the prisoners ended up pleading guilty to assault with intent to injure charges. More prison time won't stop these 3 from assaulting guards. They're already in max security, so... Yeah, anyway, I guess that's all I had to say about that. I mean, I just feel like Desmond Farfoy, he did his best with the information that he had available to him. Anyway, that information for that assault is taken from nzherald.co.nz article. Auckland Prison officer accused of lashing out against inmate and perverting the course of justice. There's actually no and, it's just an apostrophe there. Lashing out against inmate, perverting the course of justice. Anyway, the article's written 27th of August, 2018. But yeah, anyway, alright. Back to Graham Burton. This guy is so bananas. He's like a psychopath. He is a psychopath, and he's addicted to benzos. He's scary as hell. He's a Pākehā bloke, and he looks very strong. In 1992, Burton killed a lighting tech, Paul Anderson, in a Wellington City heavy metal club. It was called the Car Park, was the name of the venue. Yeah, Burton's friend later said that Burton had 2 acid tabs and 8 halcyon pills and was drinking tequila that night. So, yeah, it was, it was pretty whack. He killed the lighting tech, basically because he was having an argument with the staff who were trying to kick him out of the club because he was being too rowdy. So he pulled a knife and stabbed the lighting tech for basically no reason. Oh, to, I don't know, win the argument, I guess. I'm not sure. It's pretty bad, though. But, yeah. So he got sentenced for that. But then when he's in prison, he would actually do a Houdini and escape Paremoremo, going on the run with some other blokes in the Coromandel for 11 days. So, yeah, imagine trying to look after this guy. I don't reckon most people can escape prison, eh? You've got to really be able to think outside the box to do stuff like that. This dude's out of control, I wouldn't be shocked if he's responsible for more unsolved murders, but perhaps not, actually, because his MO is not getting away with it. He just sort of murders people on the spot and then gets caught for it, so maybe he's not, but anyway. I'm going to quote another article now, 23rd of April, 2015. It's a Dominion Post article, but it's on the stuff.co.nz website. Graham Burton's murderous rampage in the Lower Hutt Hills. So this is above Wellington City, Lower Hutt. Anyway. This is shortly after he was released on parole for killing the lighting tech. Burton never actually wanted to get released, even telling the parole board that he would murder the bloke in the cell next to him if that meant he could stay in prison. So then he gets released to rejoin society. And it's sad for the victims who crossed paths with Burton. Once out, the now institutionalized ex-convict goes back to old tricks. The cops told his parole officer that Graham Burton was smoking pee and threatening drug dealers, warning that Burton could kill again. Fast forward to the 6th of January 2007, and the benzo addict was high as the sky, running around Wainuiomata with a shotgun, causing mad mayhem. First shooting Carl Kutchenbecker, shooting him dead to steal his quad bike. Yeah, and then 2 mountain bikers found him trying to start the quad bike, and he sprayed them both at long range with shotgun pellets, hitting one in the elbow, and they took off on their bikes. But then 2 more cyclists came, Nick Rea and his 18-year-old daughter Kate Rea. They rode up on their bikes, and this time the shotgun went off by mistake, pellets hitting the 18-year-old Kate in the neck and wrist. She wasn't fatally hit or anything though, but yeah, still sprayed her with pellets, Yeah, dropping the shotgun, Graham Burton punched Nick in the face, pulled a knife, and threatened the terrified dad into starting the quad bike. But then he soon realized that it just wasn't going to happen. So he stole Nick's mountain bike, and he rode down the other track, passing the 2 cyclists he shot at before. Yeah. And they jumped into bushes to avoid him, jumped into gorse bushes. Anyway, long story short, the cops show up, and Graham Burton's still not backing down. And they blow his leg off. Well, they shot him in the leg and arrested him, and later the doctors had to cut it off. So anyway, in the end, he would be given a a metal leg. Yeah. So now Graham Burton is laid up in Wellington Hospital with one leg, and true to form, he's still not backing down. Check this out for crazy. He's literally under heavy armed guard in Wellington Hospital, and they go to give him a new pillow, and he's got a knife under his pillow. It's insane. This guy's like a bad guy from James Bond or something. Then he smashed a prison guard on the van taking him from hospital to prison. Now, as far as I can tell, he's probably the worst prisoner in the prison system, but there's others too, like JFK from American Street Gang Blue. But first, let's wrap up the discussions on Burton. He gets to Rimutaka prison, and he starts a 9-hour prison riot. They're smashing windows, threatening prison guards, lighting fires. I mean, remember, the guy only has one leg. For this, he gets sent back to Paremoremo, where he belongs. Yeah, and then in late 2008, he attempt murders Dwayne Marsh. So that was the stabbing I talked about before. It was an attempt murder. Yeah, so Marsh was a gang member from 88 gang, and he was running scared, and Burton wasn't running because he's only got one leg, but he's still just following this guy up and down the corridors. Crazy to watch. I remember the footage, it was on the news at the time. They showed a bit of it, of Burton walking with his metal leg rather, and a shank in each hand. Yeah, he's a pretty freaky dude. Yeah, so anyway, he chases him up and down the corridor, and he eventually corners the terrified gang member, who's now picked up a mop and is trying to fight him off with the mop. But yeah, he gets stabbed up a whole bunch of times. I've read all sorts of different reports, so I'm not really sure how many times he got stabbed. One psychiatric report describes Burton as a narcissistic sociopath with a highly manipulative personality. This guy's so stabby, he's probably sharpening up a prison shank right now. Well, now, let's discuss Anthony Dixon, the pea cook. This is a really high-profile one. This high-profile criminal seems to have a touch of psychopathy as well. Actually, he's dead now, but the case was very high-profile at the time. This is in 2003, when P was blowing up, and you had all those high-profile cases. There was Anthony Ronnie Dixon, William Bell, that whack job, who shot up he murdered those people at the RSA. He had a firearm, but I'm now not certain if he actually shot them or if he's a triple murderer anyway, William Bell. I think he's in Paremoremo too. There'd be another one I wouldn't be keen to look after if I was a prison guard. But anyway, Anthony Dixon, check this out. Apparently, he was one of the hardest prisoners to look after. He had the ability to think outside the box, smuggle things into prison, etc. He even shot a bloke in Highland Park, Auckland, with 10 rounds from a homemade submachine gun, which I think he actually made. So yeah, he must have some engineering background or something. He can make a machine gun. Not in prison, this is in the outside world, but still, the guy's this is before 3D printers. He's obviously quite intelligent, you know what I mean? Anyway, Anthony Dixon. Articles used include, but not limited to: thespinoff.co.nz, January 26, 2017. Remembering the day Tony Dixon came at 2 women with a samurai sword. There's another good source, a website, murderpedia.org. So it's like Wikipedia, but Murderpedia. Anyway, it's not quite an article, it's a biography page simply titled Anthony Ronnie Dixon. So yeah, there's no date on that either. As a child, Anthony Dixon learned to bark before he could talk. He was a victim of sex assaults and used to get tied to a washing line. So yeah, not a great upbringing there. But anyway, some say Anthony Dixon was killed by prison guards because he was so hard to control and hard to look after. But who really knows? I mean, he died of head and neck injuries after repeatedly banging his head into his prison cell. So concrete walls, prison cell. This guy's repeatedly banging his head into the wall. Self-inflicted injuries resulting in his own death. So, yeah. It's a pretty hardcore, crazy way to go, but I don't know. I don't really reckon the guards killed him, but like if they grabbed him up with half a dozen prison guards and repeatedly ramming him head first into the wall, like, it's not impossible, but yeah, I mean, he would have been a difficult prisoner to handle for sure, but nah. Anyway, check this out. He tried to shank his own lawyer, Barry Hart, but the guards rushed him, and yeah, just before he got a chance, they managed to grab him up. He also severely beat another prisoner in remand prison, tried to gouge his eye out with a fork. So yeah, I really want to know why he was trying to stab his lawyer. That's really interesting. Of course, his lawyer was like, no, that never happened. My client's a good guy. He's innocent of the charges that put him in prison. He definitely didn't try to stab me. So, like, we don't really know, but who knows? Could have been a dispute over money. Could have been anything. But what crimes did this lunatic actually do to end up in Paremoremo? Well, basically, he smoked a lot of pee, then he chopped two women with a samurai sword, ornamental samurai sword, but still, you know. Yeah, he actually broke the sword. One lady lost her left hand, and the other lady got both her hands chopped almost through, but they were later reattached in surgery. But he wasn't done there. It was January the 21st, 2003. This all went down in Piparoa, and this guy's master plan, including... See, I'm not really sure. He killed a guy in a park in Auckland, and apparently it was random, but I wonder if this guy was actually out to assassinate him, because he's a pretty sort of... No, anyway, this is what happened anyway. He assassinated this guy in a park in Auckland. Yeah, he steals a car, drives to Auckland with his homemade submachine gun, and then Anthony Dixon shoots 25-year-old James T. Atu in Highland Park, shoots him with 10 bullets from the homemade submachine gun. Anyway, then he takes another bloke hostage, and he has an armed standoff with Auckland police. And for those who remember, this was that guy, remember his eyes were like popping out of his head in court? This is in 2003 and that, you know, he was like a while ago, but it was really high profile. Anyway. New Zealand, when this case hit, was just like, what the, oh my God, this is so bad. Yeah, and then like I said, they bumped P up to A class when all these high profile cases were coming out. It was a crazy time, yeah. I mean, I personally don't find it likely that Anthony Dixon was murdered by the guards. By other prisoners, perhaps, I reckon. But, because, I mean, if you think about it, anyone heavily involved in P tends to have a few enemies. I mean, did he really kill himself by repeatedly banging his head into the wall? It's not impossible. He's pretty crazy, but, like, I don't know, sounds sketchy to me. But seriously, though, like, if I had to go to, like, my job tomorrow, my job was to be a prison guard at Paremoremo, look after Graham Burton, JFK, and Anthony Dixon, man, I'd run for the hills, I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm not into it. Anyway, shout out to all the prison guards out there in New Zealand. Have a good one, everybody. Now some history. Built in 1968, is minimum to maximum security prison on Paremoremo Road, Albany, Auckland. Auckland Prison is sometimes just called Paremoremo and has New Zealand's only maximum security prison unit. So we might have other places that have high security, stuff like that. I mean, I know they do, but this is the max that yeah, you get it, okay. Yeah, and it's based on the makeup of USP Marion. So that was a notorious prison in the States, a max security USP means United States Penitentiary. Marion is where it is, Marion, Illinois, and that was the prison they had there when they closed Alcatraz. They put the worst prisoners in Marion. They're like, but anyway, Department of Corrections website, www.corrections.gov.nz. Auckland Prison. It's where I got some of this information here from. Yeah, they get some pretty cool classes like cooking, joinery. They got a plant nursery, so gardening. They even got manufacturing and engineering as well, so at least there's some hope for rehabilitation. The place has a reputation for gang violence, suicide, understaffing, and plenty of stabbing murders. Yeah, well, one good thing though, I saw they had a Paremoremo Battle of the Bands, so, well, that's good, the inmates get to express themselves with music. I mean, at least something good happened. And check this out, people. I might have to actually turn my car on because I don't want my phone to run out of battery. Let's get maybe a bit of air in here. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't affect the sound, but anyway. There's another high-profile prisoner in Paremoremo, and this is one that the New Zealand criminal justice system just doesn't know what to do with. And that's Suaki Lazate. Suaki Lazate. He's some kind of enforcer for American street gang Blue. Other prisoners call him JFK. And JFK is so dangerous that he's now being housed in some kind of special isolation unit with the Christchurch mosque shooter. Like they're the only two prisoners in this unit. This is insane. Yeah, JFK's last murder was a coordinated attack on 25-year-old Blake Lee from the Maori Mafia. Blake Lee challenged the decision to transfer him from Wanganui Prison to Paremoremo. In his last phone call to his mum, he told her he wasn't coming home, Mum. Yeah, so he was fighting the transfer because he knew his enemies were up there sharpening up the shank with Blake Lee's name on it, I mean, I'm not really sure about that, but, as the story goes, Blake Lee goes up to Paremoremo, throws up a Maori Mafia gang sign, and that's what got him killed. But anyway, it was the 5th of March 2020, just when the pandemic hit. Articles, stuff.co.nz article, 10th of December 2021, murder at Paremoremo Prison. They fed him to the wolves, grieving mum says. So Blake Lee was on an enclosed exercise yard, and he was walking with a friend when he was punched in the face by Lopete Telefoni. That's a great name, by the way, Telefoni, I love it. Anyway, Telefoni and another islander, Paul Simon Tuliloa, and a young Maori called Ricky Wiramu Namoki. Yeah, so they jump Blake Lee's friend. First, Blake Lee gets punched by Telefoni, then they jump his friend, and then, so to separate him from his friend so he's got no backup, And then JFK starts stabbing Blake Lee. With the guards are screaming at him, but they can't run in to stop this mayhem until they've got 16 guards. It's like some whack rule they got to follow, Anyway, JFK stabs Blake Lee 37 times in the neck, face, and chest. He took breaks from stabbing to jump on his head. Blake Lee died at the crime scene. JFK pled guilty. Yeah, so this is pretty bad. This is the kind of stuff that really happens in this prison. Like, he stabbed him 37 times, stabbing him in the face and the neck. And then when the guards finally able to open the door, this guy, he takes the shank and he licks the blood on it and then he throws it on the ground. He's a vampire. Yeah, anyway, he pled guilty a week before the case, and the two lucky ones in court were Ricky Namoki and Paul Simon Tuliloa. They got found not guilty. Telefoni got a manslaughter charge, and JFK was done for murder, so they ordered him to serve another life sentence. Yeah, the 41-year-old enforcer joined American Street Gang Blue when he was just 12. He went to jail for an armed robbery in 2003, and he hasn't seen daylight since. In 2009, Suaki Lazate put a hit out on a member of American Street Gang Red. I actually think that he's the president of American Street Gang Blue, because, I mean, like, they might have another president on the streets or something running the street operation, but I think JFK is the real president, at least of the Auckland chapter. That's why he's called JFK, you know? Anyway, yeah, this prison hit, this all started, when the Killer Cobras gang gave Lava Savelio, from the 88s, which were a friend of American Street Gang Blue. Yeah, they gave him a severe beating. Tui Favave cheered them on and throwing up his own gang signs, etc. And JFK was angry. And at that time in Paremoremo, American Street Gang Blue was on the back foot. So a lot of this stuff that's going on, it's really confusing. There's multiple gangs involved, but a lot of it is actually because American Street Gang Blue are Tongans and American Street Gang Red are Samoans. So sometimes they'll actually click up to fight the Maori Mafia, because in the end they're all islanders. But because American Street Gang Red was laughing when a guy from another gang got beaten up, yeah, it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of racial stuff going on in here. Like, I don't fully understand it myself, you know. I mean, that's why I write these shows, to learn more. But yeah, basically they didn't like Samoan laughing when a Tongan was getting beaten up, so he put a hit on him. Anyway, he cooked up a plan with Favave Inesi Finau and another member with permanent name suppression to erase Tui Favave from planet Earth. Now, I just want to mention something. There's some dudes here that have the same name. So the boss of American Street Gang Red is Tui Favave, and the guys who are out to get him, in their crew, they've also got a guy who's called Favave, but it's his first name. He's Favave Finau. But anyway, Favave Finau put toothpaste over the cameras, and then he strangled Tui Favave with an electrical cord off the radio. But he was assisted with by another guy in this whole murderous plot as well. So basically they dragged him to the showers after Favave Finau strangled him with the electrical cord off a radio. They dragged this dude to the showers and they cut his face and chest with a shank. Favave did this to send a message. What can happen if you laugh at American Street Gang Blue? Favave Finau and JFK got 18 years non-parole. And for the third killer with name suppression, he got 17 years. I actually thought the judge was out of order for that. This guy gave evidence against his own crew, which could have totally got him killed. Favave Finau even wrote some threatening letter and sent it to his girlfriend on the outside. So, yeah, giving him the same sentence minus a year, it's not exactly an incentive for him to snitch, is it? Which is what you'd expect, because there has to be some kind of chip to bargain with in the courts. I mean, this is a prison hit, you know, like it's hard to get people to turn evidence against their own gang, but I don't know why this guy did, whether he felt bad for the murder or... But anyway, one more thing. Nobody name him in my comment section. This guy's got name suppression. He's probably got a hit on him for American Street Gang Blue. So let's not mention his name in the comments. Anyone breaking court suppression orders can be subject to prosecution, so just don't do it. But yeah, let's rewind a few years from the Blake Lee murder and the other murder from Favave and that. And yeah, JFK sitting in his prison cell in Paremoremo with a mind full of murder. And he looks at Graham Burton like a hunter looks at a prize buck. He did what he does best. He quickly assembles a hit team to kill the apex predator. This will make him top dog of New Zealand's most stabby prison. And this time, Te Araki Polgrain and Tama Te Pine from the Killer G's would assist. I mean, seriously, can you imagine if it was your job to rehabilitate these people? I mean, I wouldn't know where to start, but anyway. Information taken from www.rnz.co.nz, 17th of March, 2020. Man who stabbed double murderer Graham Burton sentenced to preventative detention. It was May 2018, and Graham Burton is walking on the landing in Paremoremo when he gets jumped by a hit team. Tama Te Pine punched Graham Burton, knocking him down. Then Te Araki Polgrain and Suaaki Lizate, so that's JFK, they stabbed Burton over 40 times, but he didn't die. JFK stabbed him in the head, stabbed him in the face, stabbed him in the right eye. Burton's mostly blind on the right eye now. He wears an eye patch. They stabbed him all over, but he did not die. This guy's insane. But yeah, Paremoremo. It's called Auckland Prison. But it's also Paremoremo. It's minimum to maximum security, and the crimes that I'm talking about, they're all taking place in the maximum security wing. This is the place that Kevin Massad, the Frenchman, got bashed with a pool cue by Killer G's member Tapau. I talked about that in another episode of mine. But yeah, so there's a lot of nasty prisons out there. Other ones include Mount Eden, Christchurch Men's Prison, which is actually Paparua Prison, not Papanui Prison. Yeah, I called it Papanui Prison in a video that I made earlier, but I took it down because it was wrong. But yeah, it's actually Paparua Prison, that's Christchurch Men's. And that's where the South Island Nazi Party come from, the prison gang. But yeah, so there are other bad prisons, but yeah, Paremoremo, that's the worst one. So it's been open for over 50 years now, and yeah, the way things are going here in NZ, I don't think they're going to close it anytime soon. So yeah, big shout out to all the prison guards up there. I know you guys have got a pretty hard job. I mean, I'm sure most of the time it's just kind of boring. It's just people watching TV or eating lunch or something. But man, when it kicks off, doesn't it? Some seriously antisocial characters housed within them walls. Cool. Have a good one, everybody.